I wanted to talk a little bit about the conversation that I had with Bobby Kennedy Jr. in November, and in particular, why it was that we didn't release it until now. Now, I will say I was never planning to keep this secret. In fact, I made a little video that explained some of my reasoning that I placed on my Twitter subscriber feed so subscribers could see it. And Twitter behaved very oddly with respect to this post.
Is it not?
Subscribers saw it, but it was invisible to people who did not subscribe, which is not the way Twitter is supposed to function. I have no idea what that was about.
But it's still up.
It's still up. People, if you want to subscribe, you can see it. I may at some point show it to the public just so you can see I wasn't pretending or anything like that. But what interested me was that there was a lot of discussion about nefarious motives that would have caused us to release this now. Why now? Why not in November 2021? And
Nefarious. Okay.
well, I don't know. People alleged that we had been paid by somebody, that we had coordinated with the Kennedy campaign. None of this is true. So anyway, I thought I would just clear up the mystery.
So, right, not true, but also if we had, which we didn't, coordinate with the Kennedy campaign, how would that be nefarious?
Well, you can imagine, one can apparently imagine that there would be...
People can hurl crap at you all you want.
They can, and I mean, look, I think this is a useful lesson, because in this particular case, you, the audience, can't really know any more than you can know anywhere else. But you and I are in a perfect position to know for certain exactly why we did what we did, and that none of the things that are being hypothesized are true. But the idea that people are so primed to see nefarious motives that anything that is in any way out of the ordinary or seems to help somebody that they don't like is instantly triggering of hypotheses. So first of all, let's clear up what happened. Bobby Kennedy came to our house. You can see in this podcast, it is our old studio in the sauna that we used to have in Portland. And we had what I thought was a fantastic conversation. The problem is, if I can just recap the history here for people who maybe haven't followed us for very long, you and I, once upon a time, were professors of biology. And our careers as professors at a state school, which you would think is a very safe career, came to a spectacular end when the college went into full meltdown, at least in part, surrounding our opposition to policy proposals that were being advanced at the college that it was our obligation to object to because they weren't good policy proposals. So that was the first time our income evaporated. The second time that happened when, after COVID began and you and I started unpacking the biological details of COVID, we inevitably ran up against the preposterous features of the narrative that we were all being given about repurposed drugs, about the origin of the virus, about vaccine safety and effectiveness. And that
was well more than a year after COVID began, well more than a year after we'd been doing these live streams, that our income was once again evaporated by YouTube demonetizing us.
Yeah, and I've forgotten exactly where it happened, but either after the Corey podcast or the Malone Kirsch podcast, YouTube demonetized our channel, and it has never been remonetized. So the bulk of our income came through YouTube, and YouTube killed it within an hour. They demonetized both of our channels, and they never fixed that, even though they were obviously wrong about these issues. Okay, so having had Bobby Kennedy Jr. to our house and had a very good discussion in the heat of the pandemic, at the point when a tremendous amount of firepower was directed at us over our dissident stance on various issues of COVID, I and we thought it was too risky to release that podcast, and so we didn't. Now, it wasn't strictly about YouTube. There was lots of stuff pointed at us across many domains. We don't know the nature of it. All we can tell is that a huge amount of money was spent to slander us and others, and to prevent audience from ever finding us. So in the midst of that environment, we made a decision that it just wasn't safe to release this podcast.
So, the we is you and Bobby. Is that the we you're talking about?
Collectively, we it was not Bobby. Bobby would have been okay with releasing it because he had in large measure already paid the price of his stances in public. So he was ready to go. But we, those of us involved at DarkHorse, which is a tiny number, just decided not to release it. The other question is why now, right? And the answer to why now is, to be honest, I had forgotten. It wasn't that I didn't know that we had recorded the podcast, but as I was watching other discussions with Bobby Kennedy, it occurred to me, hey, actually, we have a discussion with Bobby Kennedy, and it covered lots of stuff in a way that I thought was, frankly, not done elsewhere. And so it just seemed like time to release it. Was it safe? I don't know. But it seemed like a different environment than it was in November of 2021. So anyway, that's why. Nobody paid us. No nefarious motives. Yes, it was somebody accused us or demanded that we prove that it had actually been recorded in November 2021. You can obviously tell that. Changes in facial hair, different studio. We don't own that building anymore. All of those things. So that's the long and short of it.